Over in Hong Kong, the government has U-turned on its decision to fully ban dining in at eateries after it observed inconveniences to blue-collar workers. Construction workers and cleaners were spotted having their takeaway meals outdoors yesterday in heavy rain or inside toilets or storerooms.
So from tomorrow, eateries can run at half capacity, with each table capped at 2 diners. The 1.5 meter rule between tables still applies. The government also reinstated the order for eateries to provide only takeaways between 6 p.m. and 5 a.m.
The ban on dining in was part of Hong Kong's toughest measures yet to curb its new outbreak. The city has recorded more than 100 new cases for the 9th consecutive day. Kicking in yesterday and enforced for at least 7 days, these measures include banning gatherings of more than 2 people, as well as making face masks mandatory in public places, indoors and outdoors.
The government also tightened testing and quarantine arrangements for sea and air crew members. Sports centres and swimming pools were added to the list of venues ordered to shut for 7 days until August 4th.
To tell us more is the Straits Times' Hong Kong correspondent Claire Huang, who joins us from Hong Kong. Claire, will the government's decision to still allow dining in at eateries end up backfiring as people can essentially still dine out? And when you were last on the show, you mentioned that these places were actually one source of the new outbreak.
Yes, that's right. So the fact remains that eateries are a coronavirus hotspot, and I put it this way, it's like COVID central because many of the eateries here are small and crammed. I've actually been to a bistro when they haven't had that full ban yet, and clearly the tables were like this apart. It was like definitely not spaced 1.5 meters apart. And to be honest, the F&B operators, their hands are tied as well because you've got to pay rent. The landlords are not reducing the rent. So, you've got these F&B owners who will pack in as many customers as they can without looking too crowded. Does it make sense? So the government did a U-turn on the complete ban on dining in at eateries, and from tomorrow it will allow people to have their breakfasts and lunches and even tea in the eateries, but you have to take away from 6 p.m. onwards, between 6 to 5 a.m., 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. And each eatery is supposed to run at half capacity. You can only sit up to 2 customers at each table. So this is supposed to be a relaxation of the initial ban that is now still in place. So from tomorrow, I can go out and eat out.
Right. But Claire, apart from, of course, the ban on them backpedaling on this ban, there are stricter measures, of course, still in place. How did that go? Are people, if not everyone, even are most people abiding by these regulations?
So the government rolled out some of the toughest measures yesterday, which included full ban on dining and only takeaways allowed. So and also they also ordered everyone to wear masks in indoor and outdoor public places. That kicked in also yesterday. And then you have got a 2-person cap for public gatherings. And you've got the government saying that it would open 19 community halls, which it did. It opened these community halls across the city between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. To cater to those who did not have a place to lunch. But you see, some of the workers found these halls to be inconvenient or very far away. And then yesterday and today, blue-collar workers, your cleaners, construction workers, where are they going to lunch? Yeah. They were spotted having lunch outdoors, in areas like parks, gardens, by the roads, but perhaps by construction sites, some of them in toilets or even storerooms, So what happened was that yesterday it rained in the afternoon while they were having lunch, so they had to scramble for shelter. Not very sanitary, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Right, of course. Well, speaking of sanitization and everything, given cramped living quarters in Hong Kong, a full-scale lockdown is virtually impossible. A lawmaker even called a lockdown inhumane and impractical, especially for the poor in Hong Kong. But how much stricter can rules get before it's actually defined as a lockdown?
Well, by definition, it means a full ban on going out, unless for essentials. And Singapore's been there, even though it's not described that way. Over in Hong Kong, we have some room to go before that. Previously, health experts here were divided, so there were suggestions going on, right? And some suggested that it might be time to ban people from going out temporarily for a short time, maybe a week or something. Just to rein in the COVID numbers. But, there are a few problems with that. First of all, is because it's a drastic step to take. There are people who will have to go out, jobs, and it affects employers and so on. And it is also, secondly, is the government's position to be business friendly. Hong Kong is a very business friendly place, and you will have businesses and employers lobbying them. So, although the government has recently been slammed by various sectors for, forcing some businesses to close. And we also need to remember that with every option that you choose, there comes a set of its own problems. If you're going to ban people from venturing out, they have to stay at home. People in Hong Kong don't usually stay at home because it's cramped and small. Yep. You ban people from having meals at eateries means more rubbish everywhere, which is what we're finding now. All the dustbins outside are full, and then it attracts lots of flies and things like that. So the numbers are up this month, but particularly so this month. But the fact remains that even though we've passed the 3,000 mark in total tally, Hong Kong's death rate, fatality rate has gone up, but it's still manageable. The numbers are still smaller than many other places.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Claire. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, and of course, stay safe over there. That was Hong Kong correspondent at the Straits Times, Claire Huang.